Hey, what's going on, guys? Cygnus here. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Affliction Warlock. As always with these build guides, this is how I decided to build my Warlock. You don't have to build your Warlock this way. It might not be best, but I like it and I like how it plays. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the Warlock spells. So first up, you've got Corruption, which shadow damage to a target over 14 seconds. You know, pretty much bread and butter for Affliction here. Fear is another big one, obviously. Strikes fear into the enemy, disorienting the target for 20 seconds. I think it's like 8 seconds in PvP. Damage may cancel the effect, limit 1. You can only fear 1 target at a time, obviously. Create Health Stone. Creates a health stone that can be consumed to restore 25% health. Health Funnel. Sacrifices 25% of your health to heal your summoned demon for twice as much over 4 seconds. It's another channel. Curse of Exhaustion. This is your spammable freeze slow. Shadow Bolt sends a shadowy bolt at the enemy, causing 108 shadow damage. Very, very low damage. Almost not worth using. Curse of Weakness increases the time between an enemy's attacks by 20% for 2 minutes. Summon Demon. Obviously, you've got your choice of the Imp, the Voidwalker, and your Saya. Drain Life. Drains life from the target, causing 208 shadow damage over 4 seconds and healing you for 500% of the damage done. Unending Breath, underwater breathing. I have Kilrog, you're never going to use it. Unending Resolve, hardens your skin, reducing all damage taken by 20% and granting immunity to interrupt and silence effects for 8 seconds. As far as Affliction, you don't have any extra abilities other than the basic Warlock ones. You've got Agony, which inflicts increasing agony on the target, causing up to 365 shadow damage over 18 seconds. Damage starts slow and increases over the duration. Refreshing Agony maintains its current damage level. Agony damage sometimes generates 1 soul shard. The one thing about Affliction is Agony is the only soul shard generator you have. So in BGs or something like that, you basically want to be spamming this on every target you possibly can. Malefic Rapture costs 1 soul shard, 1.2 second cast. Your damaging periodic effects erupt on all targets, causing 102 shadow damage per effect. So if you've got 3 dots up on the target, that's 302 shadow or 306 shadow damage. Unstable Affliction afflicts 1 target with 928 shadow damage over 16 seconds. If dispelled, it deals 1800 damage to the dispeller and silences them for 4 seconds. Potent Afflictions, which increases the damage done by Malefic Rapture, Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction, and Seed of Corruption by 46.8%. So it basically, the mastery basically buffs all your dots. As for talents, so the 3 talents we have to choose from at level 20 is, number 1 is Nightfall. Corruption damage has a chance to cause your next Shadow Bolt to be instant and deal 50% increased damage. If we want to do that math real quick, pretty easy, right? 108. What's 50% of 108? 54. That means it only does 162 shadow damage. At least it's instant, but 162 shadow damage is not really worth it. Inevitable Demise. Damaging an enemy with Agony increases the damage of your next drain life by 15%. This effect stacks up to 50 times. So this is one of the reasons that this character builds a lot of haste. And then there's Drain Soul, which replaces Shadow Bolt, drains the target's soul, causing 389 shadow damage over 4 seconds. Damage is increased by 100% against enemies below 20% health. Generates 1 soul shard if the target dies during this effect. Now for the PvP talents, there's quite a few to go over, actually. Rotten Decay. Each time your drain life deals damage, it increases the duration of your Unstable Affliction, Corruption, and Agony on the target for 8 seconds. Bane of Shadows. Magical damage over time effects will strike the target an additional time for 20% of their damage as Shadow. Lasts for 10 seconds. That is a 30-second cooldown and an instant cast. Nether Ward, which is a 45-second cooldown. It surrounds the caster with a shield that lasts 3 seconds, reflecting all harmful spell effects on you. Essence Drain. This is a passive. Whenever you heal yourself with drained life, the target enemy deals 5% reduced damage to you over 10 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. Amplify Curse. This is an instant cast, 30-second cooldown. Your next Curse of Exhaustion, Curse of Tongues, or Curse of Weakness is amplified. So Curse of Exhaustion will reduce the target's movement speed by an additional 20%, which would put them at a 70% slow. Curse of Tongues increases the casting time by an additional 40%. And Curse of Weakness, enemy is unable to critically strike. Rapid Contagion. This costs 3 soul shards. It's an instant. It's a 30-second cooldown. For the next 20 seconds, all of your damage over time effects occur 33% more often. I exclusively run Inevitable Demise and Rapid Contagion, occasionally Nether Ward, and Bane of Shadows. Those are the 3 that I kind of rotate around with. Like I do for all these, I mentioned Bob's Mastery Thread. He has this one listed as a 5 out of 5, and for good reason. Every 4 points of mastery increases your damage done by many spells, all of your dots, by 2.5%. That shits on versatility. This mastery affects every damaging spell Affliction has at level 20 except for Drain Life and Shadow Bolt. So a 2.5% ratio mastery that affects close to 100% of the spec's damage output. The only subject for debate here is that Haste and Verse are both very useful for Affliction. Haste reduces fear cast times, also ramps up dot damage, and Verse is pretty crucial for the immobile level 20 Warlock to reduce damages and increase Drain Life healing. That being said, there is no doubt that stacking Mastery increases Affliction's DPS more than any other secondary, and he is absolutely correct. I actually am going to go over my racials now because I just realized that I didn't go over the racial. So obviously you can see I picked a Goblin for my Warlock, and that is because Warlocks are extremely immobile. And that is because Warlocks are extremely immobile. So I use Rocket Jump on cooldown. So if somebody gets close to you or gets in your range and starts, dealing oppressive damage, you make sure you've got a Curse of Exhaustion up on them, and then you Rocket Jump away. Don't try to do it uphill, it does not work. So be aware of your surroundings. I guess I'll talk about my professions next then. I obviously went engineering because of the tinkers on the belts and on the cloak. I went enchanting, and I can't remember why I went enchanting. I think, to be completely honest, I think I'm enchanting because my main character on Blackwing Lair at the time was a level 60 monk, and I didn't feel like trying to level up his Northrend enchanting, so I leveled up this character's Northrend enchanting. So I just never, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So yeah, you could definitely go alchemy or anything else, as a warlock. Now it's time to go over my gear, and I'm gonna load up this this new add-on, Narcissus, a little bit here. First things first, we're going to take a look at helmet. I'm running the Cenarian Thicket Circlet, which is the cloth 3-socket helm that drops from a quest. I've got a video on that if you're curious about it. All gemmed with 2 int 2 verse gems. Azure Wing Pendant of the Aurora, enchanted with a Mark of the Hidden Satyr. Hollowed Pauldrons, 6 verse, 2 int 2 haste on those. I have an Impatient Azure Wing Cloak with 5 stats, 8 haste, and 2 int 2 haste on that, obviously with the Goblin Glider. Hollowed Garments, 8 verse, 3 triple socket chest piece, enchanted with +3 or +4 to all stats, 2 int 2 verse in all 3 of those sockets. Harmonious Bracers here, we've got 6 mastery, 2 verse, 2 int 2 haste, +1 all stats enchant, don't do that, also a bad choice. Harmonious Hand Wraps as well, 3 mastery, 8 verse. I went with really high verse on this character for some reason. Enchanted with 4 spell power, I think it goes up to 5 or 6 in BGs, and +2 int 2 verse gem. Mindfire Waistband because 3 crit, 4 verse, and double socket, 2 int 2 haste on both of those, as well as the Spinal Healing Injector. Curator Master's Trousers, which 6 verse, 2 int 2 verse across it, and I've got the pants enchanted with 5 stam, 2 dodge. Dodge does nothing for Warlocks, it's just this, I wanted the stamina, that's literally the only reason I have it. Harmonious Sandals, 2 int 2 haste, 6 mastery, 5 verse, 3 stamina, and minor run speed increase because Warlocks are immobile, so you can go for that extra 3 stamina if you want without having to worry about the minor move speed stacking with anything. I have a Stormwing Band of the Harmonious, 16 mastery, 9 verse, enchanted with 1 mastery, 2 int 2 haste gem there, and then I have an Impatient Ring, 25 haste, straightforward, not enchanted. Don't be like me, kids, enchant your rings. The Ghost Iron Dragonling, I've got double haste mastery in it, and the only reason that I did that is because it was easier for me to get mastery in this Dragonling than it was to get it on more gear, and I can always gem for verse, right? I can always add 2 int 2 verse gems instead of 2 int 2 haste gems. Obviously a PvP trinket because PvP. Last but not least, the old weapons. I'm using the Blade of Eternal Darkness. This is 3 haste, 4 verse, enchanted with 11 spell power, and your harmful spells and effects have a chance to send a shadowy bolt at the target, dealing 55 shadow damage. It's nice to have a possible dot proc with all of your dots. Plus, this is a haste verse weapon, so that's Aurora right there. Just no socket. That's the only thing that's kind of a downfall to this, but it's okay. And then there's Cloudstone. Don't ask why I have this. You can get much better socketed options, but 2 haste, 5 verse. It's because it's Aurora basically, and it's what I had on my character at the time. +5 intellect on that. As you can see here, we've got 196 intellect I think it rounds out to like 212 spell power, because for some reason spell power doesn't show up here, obviously. It's just reasons. It acts the same way though, so spell power is still just as important as attack power, just as important as intellect. It's kind of the same thing. 174 stamina, pretty baseline. I've got a little bit extra from my gear, like I said, from the pants and from the boots there. And I could probably throw a better enchant on the bracers as well, like a stamina enchant there. Critical strike rating is at 7.8%, so not too great. Basically everything else scales better, and it is a confirmed damage increase rather than a chance at a damage increase, right? So crit isn't always a good choice. As much fun as it can be, it's not always a great choice. My mastery is up at 46%, almost 47%. Mastery scales very, very well. So you don't need a whole lot of it. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces with it. It's enough, right? I could definitely have more, but yeah, I think this is a very good balance, because my next part, I'm at 20% verse, which is like my happy medium. Usually I like to be at 20% verse inside of VG, so when our stats get all squished and moved around. So I usually like having like 22, 23% verse, if higher possible. I just like having more versatility on my characters. It is what it is. 24.22% haste. I gemmed a lot of haste, if you couldn't tell. I could easily get more versatility if I wanted to. I think I actually might do that because I'm running this impatient ring, and so yeah, I could probably go and change up some of these gems to 2 verse, and I could get at that 20% verse that I like to be at in BGs. So yeah, that's basically it for my Warlock, you guys. He's a lot of fun to play. I actually take this gear and kind of rotate it around, and I play demo with it as well. I'll do a specific demonology guide at a different time. Right now I'm just, you know, popping out this Affliction Warlock build because this dude is like perfectly set up for Affliction. And it is a lot of fun playing this guy. So sometimes I do play Destro with him just because it's fun soul firing and chaos bolting people. Like, it's fun, right, for a little while, and then you get tired of getting kicked constantly, and then you go back to the caster, non-caster, right? That's kind of what Affliction is. It's the caster for the person that isn't good at playing casters, because you straight up don't have to cast hardly anything. Unstable Affliction and Malefic Rapture are the only things that you have to cast, and Fear, obviously. That is my Affliction Warlock. Like I've said, it might not be best, but that is mine. As always, got to give a quick shout out to the members. You guys: Evan Campbell, Thunder Socks, Psycho Teddy, Creepy, Cuzgin, LC Gaming, Who's Depths, Bop, Zigtol, Drad, Crumb, Jacob Jess, Persuasions, Dennis McPeak, and Waza. Thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate the 2-month rejoins and 1-month rejoins from y'all. I really appreciate it. As always, my personal Discord and everything else is down in the description, as well as the XP Off Discord, cross-faction communities. There's threads on XP Off with cross-faction stuff. There's merch on XP Off for XP Off stuff. Go buy some merch. Go buy some merch, man. It helps the website. It doesn't help me, it helps the website. Like I always say, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to be shouted out on that list at the end, go click that join button down there at the bottom, wherever the hell it is. It's cheaper than a Twitch sub, and it supports me directly, and your name will get shouted out on this list, and you get to see videos a little earlier, sometimes, if I remember. I'm bad at this whole thing. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.